All right, so we're lacing up for a deep dive into the world of Nike.
You got it.
You guys sent in Phil Knight's memoir, Shoe Dog.
Yeah,
And
it's a good one.
this is not your typical business book.
No, not at all.
It's really like a raw and personal look at what it took to build this iconic brand.
I think what's so fascinating is how Knight weaves his personal journey
Yeah.
with the story of Nike.
Right.
And you see it right from the start, how his obsession with running, his need for that.
He calls it exuberant clarity
Yes.
that he found on the track.
Yeah, exuberant clarity.
Really laid the groundwork for his drive
Exact.
in business.
Absolutely.
It's like that feeling he got from running
Uh-huh.
became the fuel for his crazy idea,
It did.
right? Like that belief that anyone can shape history if they're willing to
Yeah,
defy expectations.
totally.
And that's powerful stuff
Yeah,
coming from a guy who started, selling shoes out of his car trunk.
that's where it really resonates, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from the humble beginnings.
No.
He talks about the doubts, those early anxieties, that feeling of
Sinking like the Titanic?
sinking like at the Titanic, which a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, can relate to.
Totally. And it makes you wonder what kept him going
Yeah.
during those uncertain times.
Yeah.
Was it just grit?
Well, he talks about the importance of those early believers,
Okay.
like his mother,
Oh, yeah.
who bought a pair of shoes from him just to support him.
Wow.
And those small gestures, can be game changers for an entrepreneur.
For sure.
They're really struggling.
Right.
And so it shows how success isn't always just about
Right.
individual drive, but also about
The community.
the community that supports.
The rallies around you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and his early business, thrived on that
It did.
kind of community support,
Yeah. Yeah.
Built this loyal following through it, just word of mouth,
Yeah.
before any, formal marketing or anything.
Right. The organic growth.
But for those of us who aren't business whizzes,
Sure.
what does that actually mean?
So organic growth means that, in this context, he expanded naturally through customer enthusiasm
Gosh.
and recommendation rather than relying on
Marketing.
big marketing campaigns.
Gotcha.
It speaks to the power of the product
Yeah.
and that genuine passion early on.
It's like a snowball effect.
Exactly.
The more people love the shoes, the
Yeah.
more they tell their friends. And
it grows from there.
But you can't build a global brand on just passion alone.
No, definitely not.
Right.
Uh-huh.
You need the right people,
Right.
right partnerships.
For sure.
And Knight had a really interesting partner in his old track coach, Bill Bowerman.
Bill Bowerman wasn't just a coach, though.
No.
He was a true innovator,
Right.
constantly obsessed with pushing the boundaries
Yeah.
of running shoes.
And he was constantly tinkering, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
experimenting.
All the time.
That's where we get the
Waffle soul.
waffle soul.
Uh-huh. Used his wife's waffle iron.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I wonder if she ever got to make waffles again.
Right.
But seriously,
It revolutionized running shoes.
it did.
This shows the power of collaboration,
Yeah.
different minds, different skill sets,
Totally.
to create these groundbreaking ideas.
Absolutely. And Knight didn't just seek out the technical expertise.
Yeah.
He had an eye for passion
Yes.
and dedication.
Mm-hmm.
Take, for example, Jeff Johnson, his first employee.
Right. This relentless ball of energy,
Yes.
constantly writing letters,
Mhm.
overflowing with ideas.
Even when the company was barely afloat.
Oh, for sure.
It's amazing how, someone who was initially hesitant to join
Right.
ended up being such a driving force in their sales and marketing.
Yeah.
What do you think Knight saw in Johnson?
It seems like he really valued Johnson's understanding
Yeah.
of their target audience. He
Yeah.
wasn't just selling shoes. He was
Yeah.
selling a feeling, a connection to the sport, and that resonated with runners.
That emotional connection, right? That shared passion that goes beyond just the function of the product.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Johnson.
No.
He seemed to attract a whole team of what he called misfits.
Yeah.
These people who were passionate, driven,
Yeah.
but didn't necessarily fit the,
The corporate gold.
the corporate mold.
Yeah.
Like his future wife, Penny Parks,
Right.
who starts as his accounting student
Yeah.
and ends up playing this crucial role
Yeah.
in organizing their finances.
What's interesting is that he seemed to really value loyalty and that shared vision above all else.
It sounds like he was building more of a family than a company.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
Just a group of people who are willing to take risks,
Yeah.
weather the storms, celebrate the victories together.
Yeah.
But even with a great team,
Mm-hmm.
building a business is never easy. And Knight was constantly battling this financial precariousness
Oh, yeah.
in those early days.
Yeah,
He was perpetually in debt, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Pushing his luck with bankers.
Yeah.
Always ordering more inventory than he could afford.
He was on that edge.
It takes a certain personality
It does.
to operate like that,
Yeah.
right? To constantly push boundaries.
Yep.
To bet on yourself when
the odds are stacked against you.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how he convinced those skeptical bankers
Right.
to keep lending him money.
I think that's where the unwavering belief in the vision comes in. He was able to convey that passion, that conviction.
Yeah.
He was onto something big. Even when the numbers didn't necessarily add up.
Right.
I mean, he was selling more than shoes.
Yeah.
He was selling a dream.
He was selling that dream, and that dream was about to take a giant leap forward.
It was.
When tensions with Onitsuka,
Yeah.
his Japanese supplier,
Right.
reached a boiling point.
They did.
And Knight was forced to make a decision.
Yeah, a big one.
Break free
Right.
and create his own brand.
Right.
Or risk losing everything.
It was a pivotal decision.
It was.
This decision to break away from Onitsuka,
Yeah.
really a turning point for Nike.
Yeah.
It forced them to forge their own path,
Right.
become independent.
Yeah.
A crisis can sometimes lead to unexpected opportunity.
It's like being pushed out of a nest.
It is.
And learning to fly
Yeah.
on your own right.
Okay.
It's terrifying.
It is.
But it can be incredibly liberating.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
They embraced the challenge.
Took a leap of faith.
It did.
And they created this brand that would come to, define athletic footwear.
Exactly. And the story of how they chose the name Nike.
Yes.
And that swoosh logo.
You would think a brand as big as Nike would have spent millions of dollars on that logo.
Mm-hmm.
But it was actually designed by a college student for $35. Talk about a bargain.
Wow.
And Knight himself, he wasn't even initially sold on it.
I know. He said it wasn't his favorite.
He said, I don't love it, but
Yeah. But maybe it will grow on me.
he recognized its potential.
He did.
It was simple.
Right.
It was memorable.
Yeah.
Conveyed a sense of motion, speed, all essential qualities.
Yeah.
When you're talking about a brand
Exactly.
focused on athletic performance.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that sometimes the best ideas come from unexpected places.
They do.
And being open to those new perspectives can lead to iconic results.
Yeah, they can.
But having a great logo is just the beginning.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to build a brand that resonates with customers,
Yeah.
that inspires loyalty and aspiration, and that requires
Something more.
And that's where Knight's, genius in marketing
Yes.
and his focus on those athlete endorsements
It's fascinating.
really comes into play.
Yeah. This is where the story takes a turn. Yep.
As Knight seeks to capture the essence of Nike's spirit through the athletes that embody their values.
It's such a brilliant strategy.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Connecting your brand with individuals
Yeah.
who represent the qualities you want your customers to associate with your product. And Knight had a knack for finding those individuals who weren't just talented, but they had,
That it factor.
had that it factor
The charisma.
that transcended the sport itself.
Exactly.
In his first major signing,
Yes.
Steve Prefontaine.
The rebellious runner.
Yeah.
Known for his fierce competitiveness.
And his outspoken personality
Absolutely.
would become the embodiment of the Nike spirit.
Yeah. He was.
Prefontaine wasn't just a runner, he was a cultural icon.
He was
a symbol of defiance.
Yeah.
Individuality. Challenged conventions.
Yeah.
Pushed boundaries.
He did.
Inspired a generation of athletes to embrace their own unique style.
An approach.
And he embodied that crazy idea that Knight championed from the start.
Yeah. He perfectly embodies it.
It does.
And that is where we'll pause for now.
Okay.
We're going to delve deeper
Okay.
into how Knight leveraged those athlete endorsements
Sounds good.
to build the Nike brand and explore the challenges of maintaining their rebellious spirit while navigating the complexities of a rapidly growing business.
Okay, I'm ready for part 2.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Shoe Dog.
Yeah.
Last time we were talking about how Phil Knight built his team and made that, really risky decision to break free from his supplier and launch Nike.
It's a big one.
It took a lot of guts.
It did.
And that kind of calculated risk-taking
Yeah.
seems to be a recurring theme
It does.
in his journey.
Yeah.
But what's so fascinating is how he balanced that with a deep understanding of his customer.
He did, and that's a key, right? He knew that to truly connect with athletes, Nike needed more than just innovative products.
Yeah.
They needed a story, an identity that resonated with their aspirations and values.
And that's where his strategy for athlete endorsements comes in.
It is.
Right? It wasn't just about slapping a logo on a famous athlete.
Oh.
It was about finding individuals who embodied that Nike spirit.
Yes.
That rebellious, boundary-pushing energy.
Absolutely.
And Steve Prefontaine, his first major signing,
was
a perfect example.
Yeah, he wasn't just incredibly talented.
No.
He was a maverick, challenging authority, pushing the limits of what was possible.
Yeah, he was like a rock star of the running world. And I can see how that rebellious spirit really resonated with Knight.
Totally.
Who was, kind of defying conventions in the business world as well.
For sure.
But aligning your brand with someone so outspoken also comes with risks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was willing to take that gamble.
He was.
Because he understood that
authenticity.
That authenticity was key.
Yes.
He wasn't trying to create some sanitized corporate image of athleticism. Right? He wanted to capture that raw passion, that grit, that individuality of athletes like Prefontaine.
Absolutely.
And that resonated.
Yes, it did.
With customers. Right.
It did.
People weren't just buying shoes.
Right.
They were buying into
attitude.
An attitude.
A lifestyle.
A way of life.
Yeah.
But even with a powerful brand identity, Nike still had to deliver on the product side.
They did.
And Knight was relentless.
Yes, he was.
In his pursuit of innovation, his drive to create the best athletic shoes.
Right.
Wasn't just about market dominance.
No, it was personal for him.
It seemed deeply personal.
Yeah, it did.
He often talks about feeling like he was always
chasing someone or something,
whether it was his high school track rival or, established giants like Adidas.
He always had competition.
It's like that competitive spirit, that need to prove himself, fueled that constant push.
Yeah, it did.
For innovation, he just couldn't rest on his laurels.
Couldn't get complacent.
No, even when Nike was clearly on the rise.
That's right.
And that brings us to one of Nike's most
iconic innovations.
The
Air Sole.
The Air Sole.
It's hard to believe now that this technology, which revolutionized cushioning and impact absorption,
was initially met with skepticism.
It was.
Really? It seems so commonplace now.
I know.
What was Knight's hesitation?
So this aerospace engineer named Frank Rudy approached Knight with this idea of putting air pockets in shoes. And Knight, being a business-minded guy, thought it sounded like a gimmick.
Like too out there.
Yeah, too out there.
It's interesting how something that seems so groundbreaking now was almost dismissed.
Almost.
Because it just seemed too unconventional.
Yeah, too far-fetched.
It's a good reminder to stay open.
It is.
To new possibilities.
Yeah.
Even if they seem far-fetched at first.
That's right.
Fortunately, Knight decided to give it a chance.
He did.
And we all know how that turned out.
We do.
The Air Sole became
a game changer.
A game changer for Nike.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of performance, but also in terms of branding. It solidified their image as a company that was pushing the boundaries.
It did.
Of what was possible.
Yeah.
But innovation isn't always a smooth process.
No, it isn't.
Knight is surprisingly candid.
He is.
About the missteps.
Yeah.
The failures along the way.
Yeah, he talks about a shoe called the Nike Air Pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Which sounds like it came straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, packed with technology. It was a total flop.
But
Yeah, the Air Pressure is a perfect example of how innovation, just for the sake of innovation, can really backfire.
It can.
It was over-engineered.
It was.
Clunky.
Yes.
Ultimately didn't meet the needs of athletes.
Didn't deliver.
This highlights a key lesson, right?
What is it?
For any entrepreneur, innovation has to be balanced.
It does.
With practicality and customer needs.
Right.
What seems groundbreaking in theory might not translate into a successful product.
Exactly.
But even amidst those failures, Knight never seemed to lose his sense of humor.
No, he didn't.
Or his ability to learn from those mistakes.
Yeah, he could laugh at himself.
It makes him more relatable in a way.
It does.
It creates a company culture that wasn't afraid to experiment.
Exactly.
To take risks.
And take risks, yeah.
But as Nike continued to grow at this astonishing pace, Knight realized his role needed to evolve.
It did.
He can no longer be that hands-on, do-it-all entrepreneur.
That's right.
I mean, that must have been a difficult transition for someone.
It would be for anybody.
So used to being in control.
Yeah, especially him.
How did he handle that shift in leadership style?
It seems like he had to learn to delegate, to trust others, and empower his team.
Give up a little bit of that control?
He had to.
He brought in, really talented individuals.
Yeah, like Peter Moore.
Yeah, Peter Moore.
Who revolutionized basketball shoe designs.
Yeah.
Rob Strasser, a brilliant lawyer.
Yeah. Who
became his kind of right-hand man.
Right.
Handling all the legal issues, complex negotiations.
Yeah, Knight seemed to have a talent.
He did.
For recognizing and attracting people who could take Nike to that next level.
It's a skill.
It is.
Yeah.
He knew he couldn't do it all himself.
He did.
And he wasn't afraid to bring in people who could fill those gaps.
He needed that help.
Yeah, and it's a reminder that even the most successful entrepreneurs need to surround themselves with a strong team.
They do.
People who bring different skills and perspectives.
That's how you grow.
To the table. And as Nike grew, Knight faced another monumental decision.
He did.
One that would test his commitment to his original vision.
Right.
And the independence that he held so dear.
Yeah.
Taking Nike public.
That's a huge decision.
Going public is a huge step for any company.
It is.
It's a way to raise capital.
Right.
Expand. But it also comes with
a lot of scrutiny.
And pressure.
Pressure from shareholders.
Yeah.
How did Knight and his team approach this challenge?
It was a tough decision.
Yeah.
Knight and his inner circle.
The butt faces, as he calls them.
His butt faces.
Who had built Nike from the ground up.
Yeah.
Were fiercely independent.
They were.
So the thought of answering to Wall Street and potentially compromising their vision.
It must have been really unsettling.
Oh, for sure.
It's that classic dilemma.
It is.
For startups.
Yeah.
How do you grow without losing
the essence
of what made you successful in the first place?
That's the challenge.
It must have been a really stressful time for everyone.
I would imagine.
Involved. But in the end, they recognized that going public was necessary.
It was.
To fuel their continued expansion.
Right.
And compete on a global scale.
Yeah.
They knew it'd be a challenge.
They did.
But they were ready to face it head on.
That's their style.
So in December of 1980, Nike went public.
Big moment.
A major turning point.
It was.
In the company's history.
Yeah.
Marking the beginning of a new chapter.
A new era.
Filled with both opportunities and challenges.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Shoe Dog.
Yeah, final part.
We've seen how Phil Knight's crazy idea grew. From, a trunk full of shoes to this publicly traded company.
A global icon.
But going public changes things, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It's like suddenly having a whole bunch of
backseat drivers.
Yeah, backseat drivers telling you how to run your business.
Telling you how to run your company.
Yeah, that's the tension that Knight really grapples with in this final part of the book.
It is.
Right. He and his team always operated on gut instinct.
Yeah, shared passion.
Shared passion, that
butt-face camaraderie.
Butt-face camaraderie, right. And now they had Wall Street analysts scrutinizing every decision.
Yeah, demanding growth.
Demanding that predictable growth.
Yeah, predictable, consistent.
Which I can imagine was tough for Knight.
It was.
Who seems like someone who likes to call his own shots.
Absolutely.
Did he talk about how going public impacted the company culture at all?
Yeah, he admits it was bittersweet.
Okay.
On one hand, there was excitement. Nike's valuation soared. A lot of early employees became millionaires overnight. Wow. But there was also a sense of loss.
Okay.
That scrappy, rebellious energy that fueled that early success had to adapt to a more corporate structure.
It's the age-old dilemma, isn't it?
It is.
Of growth.
You want to grow.
You want to expand. You want to reach more people.
Right.
But you also want to hold on to the heart and soul of what made you unique in the first place.
That's the balance.
And Knight seemed very determined.
He was.
To protect that soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
I may have been the CEO of a publicly traded company.
Right.
But he never lost sight of what mattered.
The core values.
Innovation.
Yeah, athlete connection.
Athlete connection.
That willingness to take risks.
That willingness to take risks. And speaking of risks, this is where the story of the air sole
becomes even more fascinating.
Gets even more interesting.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a technological breakthrough.
No, it was a gamble.
It was a really bold gamble.
At a crucial time.
At a crucial time for the company.
Yeah.
Remember, he was initially hesitant.
He was.
About that idea.
Too out there.
Too unconventional.
Yeah.
But after Nike went public,
he
doubled down.
He did.
On the technology.
Poured resources into it.
Yeah, poured resources into its development and marketing.
Yep.
That takes guts.
It does.
Especially when you're under pressure from shareholders to deliver consistent results.
Exactly.
What do you think drove him to champion?
I think he recognized
seemingly risky technology.
That the air sole wasn't just a product.
Yeah.
It was a symbol of everything Nike stood for.
Okay.
Pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
Defying expectations.
Right.
Constantly innovating.
Even as a publicly traded company.
That's right.
Nike wouldn't lose its edge.
Exactly.
And it paid off big time.
Huge.
The air sole became
one of their defining innovations.
Yeah. Propelling them to even greater heights.
Took them to the next level.
But Knight also stresses that the road to success is paved with its fair share of failures.
Oh, absolutely.
He's very open about the products that flopped.
Yeah, she shares the stories.
The marketing campaigns that backfired.
He seems to relish in it almost, as if to demystify the idea of entrepreneurial success.
Right, showing us that even the biggest brands
make mistakes.
And
it's how you learn from them.
That's what really matters, yeah.
That matters.
It makes it more relatable.
It does.
Doesn't it?
Way more.
Not this untouchable business titan.
Right.
But a guy who's willing to admit
he's human.
When he screws up.
Yeah.
It humanizes the whole story.
Absolutely.
And one of the most memorable stories...
I know which one you're talking about.
...of a screw-up...
The air pressure.
...involves a shoe called the Nike Air Pressure.
Such a good story.
It was supposed to be this revolutionary product.
It was, packed with technology.
Packed with technology, but a total disaster.
Total disaster.
Didn't it have this elaborate pump system?
It did.
That was supposed to, like, customize the fit?
Yeah, you could adjust the air pressure.
Yeah, I remember seeing ads for it.
I know, me too.
Back in the day, it looked like something straight out of, like, Back to the Future.
It did. It looked so cool.
Yeah, but clunky.
Oh, it was so clunky.
And uncomfortable, prone to malfunctions.
Yeah, it didn't work.
A prime example of over-engineering.
It was, right. Yeah.
Trying to do too much, losing sight of...
the basic needs of the athlete.
Basic needs of the athlete, yeah. Really underscores right. That innovation needs to be balanced with practicality.
For sure.
Just because something is technologically impressive doesn't mean it's going to be a successful product.
Doesn't mean it's going to sell.
And to Knight's credit, he recognized that.
He owned it.
He didn't try to sweep it under the rug.
Nope.
He owned up to it.
He did.
Learned from it, moved on.
Classic Knight.
That resilience, that ability to bounce back from setbacks.
That's what makes him.
Sets entrepreneurs apart.
Sets them apart.
And as Nike continued its meteoric rise, Knight realized he couldn't be the one calling all the shots anymore.
Right. He had to evolve.
He had to learn to trust his team.
Delegate.
Empower others to lead.
Yeah. A transition that a lot of successful entrepreneurs,
I would say most,
struggle with.
Really struggle with, yeah.
Right. They're used to being that driving force.
The visionary.
Yeah, the visionary.
Shots.
Letting go of that control.
Yeah.
Can be so challenging.
No, absolutely.
But Knight seems to have navigated it.
He did.
With a good deal of self-awareness.
He was very aware of his own strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. He knew he needed to bring in people with different skill sets.
Different perspective. Yeah.
To take Nike to that next level.
Couldn't do it alone.
And he brought in some incredibly talented people.
He did. Peter Moore, for example. Peter Moore.
Revolutionized basketball shoe designs, creating the Air Jordan line.
Yeah, I mean, iconic.
Iconic. Rob Strasser, a brilliant lawyer, became his right-hand man, navigating the legalities of a global brand.
Building a successful company is not a solo act.
No, it takes a village.
It's about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Absolutely.
Who complement your strengths.
And challenge you.
And challenge you to be better.
Yeah, you need that.
As we reach the end of Shoe Dog, we see Knight really reflecting on his journey.
He does.
Not just as a businessman.
Right.
But as a human being.
A human being.
Talking about the sacrifices he made.
Yeah, the personal cost of success.
The toll, that relentless pursuit
it takes a toll
of success took on his personal life.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that even behind the biggest brands, there are real people.
Real people.
With families, with relationships, with complexities.
Success comes at a price.
It does.
And it's important to acknowledge that.
For sure.
But ultimately, Knight seems to have found peace.
He does.
With his choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
He built something that he was incredibly proud of.
Yeah, something that transcended shoes.
Something that transcended the world of athletic shoes.
That's a movement.
He created a brand that inspired people.
Inspired people to push their limits.
To push their limits.
Defy expectations.
Embrace their crazy ideas.
So what does this all mean for us?
Yeah, good question.
For anyone listening who's been inspired by Knight's story, what are those key takeaways?
The big lessons.
That we can apply to our own lives, our own pursuits?
I think his story is a powerful reminder.
Okay.
That success isn't a straight line.
Right.
There are going to be setbacks, failures.
Those moments of self-doubt.
They're inevitable.
It's how you respond to those challenges.
Yeah, how you learn from your mistakes.
Keep pushing forward.
That defines your journey.
Yeah, it's about embracing that crazy idea. Absolutely.
That spark of passion that ignites your soul.
Yes.
Having the courage to pursue it.
Even when others doubt you.
Even when others doubt you, it's about building that team.
Yeah, those people that believe.
The people who believe in your vision.
That will support you.
Yeah, who will support you through those ups and downs.
Through thick and thin.
And understanding that the journey itself, with all its twists and turns,
all the craziness,
is just as important as the destination.
It's all part of it.
So what's your crazy idea?
What are you chasing?
What are you willing to risk to chase it?
What kind of legacy do you want to build?
Those are the questions Phil Knight leaves us with.
Big questions.
And those are questions worth pondering.
Absolutely.
Long after we finish reading Shoe Dog.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive,